Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and realizing something has changed. Not your house, not your car, not even your bank account. Something much bigger. You no longer have to worry about money. Not, I'm doing okay. Not, I can afford most things. I mean, money has completely stopped being a problem. The electricity bill doesn't matter. The rent doesn't matter. The price of groceries doesn't matter. A $20,000 dinner doesn't scare you. A $100,000 holiday doesn't require planning. And if you wanted to buy a car tomorrow, you wouldn't ask, "Can I afford it?" You'd ask, "Which one do I want?" At first, this sounds like the perfect life. But what actually happens when money stops limiting you? Because the answer is much more interesting than simply buying expensive things. Imagine your morning. You wake up without an alarm. There is no rush. You simply get up when you want. Maybe your bedroom overlooks the ocean. Maybe you're in a penthouse thousands of feet above a city. Maybe you're in a quiet mansion surrounded by trees. Nothing is urgent. You make breakfast slowly. You drink your coffee. You walk outside. And suddenly, you realize something most people spend their entire lives chasing. You have control over your time, and that changes decisions. You can take the scenic route instead of the fastest one. You can sit in a cafe for an hour with nowhere to be. You can say yes to an invitation because you want to go, not because it fits your budget. If you want to spend Tuesday afternoon with your family, you can. If you want to disappear to another country for 3 weeks, you can. Your calendar stops being a prison. And that might be the first thing you notice about extreme wealth. The biggest luxury isn't the Lamborghini. It's being able to say no. Someone offers you a business deal worth millions. You can walk away because when you don't desperately need the money, your decisions become very different. But then comes travel, and this is where life starts feeling almost unreal. You don't wait for annual leave. You don't spend 6 months saving for one holiday. If you wake up on a Tuesday and decide you want to see Paris, you can go. If you want to spend a month in Japan, you stay a month. You can have breakfast in London, dinner in Dubai, and wake up the following morning, somewhere completely different. And eventually, something strange happens. Luxury becomes normal. The private jet isn't exciting anymore. The 5-star hotel isn't shocking anymore. The ocean view suite becomes just another room. The expensive restaurant becomes just another place to eat. And this is where wealthy life becomes much more interesting. Because when everything is available, things become less important. You start looking for experiences instead. A dinner isn't special because it costs $5,000. It's special because you're sitting across from someone you love. And suddenly, something worth almost nothing financially can become incredibly valuable. A quiet afternoon, a family meal, a conversation with an old friend, a handwritten letter, a photograph, a memory. Because once money can buy almost everything, the things money can't buy become more interesting. And then there's work. This might be one of the biggest changes of all. When you don't need money, you don't necessarily stop working. You just stop working for survival. You can choose projects because they're interesting. You can build something because you want to see whether you can. You have the freedom to experiment. And perhaps the greatest freedom is the ability to fail. Imagine losing $1 million on a business idea. For most people, that could be devastating. For someone with enormous wealth, it might simply be an expensive lesson, and that changes how you think. Fear becomes smaller. Opportunities become bigger, but unlimited freedom has a darker side, because when money removes your problems, it doesn't automatically give you purpose. Imagine having everything: the house, the cars, the watches, the travel, the clothes, the restaurants, the perfect lifestyle, and then waking up one morning thinking, what am I supposed to do today? For some people, that question becomes surprisingly difficult, because money can give you freedom from work. But work often gives people structure. It gives them goals, challenges, competition, a reason to wake up. This is why you sometimes see incredibly wealthy people working harder than everyone else. They're not necessarily trying to buy another yacht. They are trying to build something, to win, to create, to prove something to themselves. Because humans don't only want comfort, we also want achievement. And then there are relationships. This is where having too much money can become complicated. When you're extremely wealthy, you may start wondering why people like you. Do they like you or your lifestyle? Do they want your friendship or your connections? Would they still call if you lost everything tomorrow? And suddenly, privacy becomes a luxury. You don't necessarily want more people around you. You want the right people around you. People who knew you before the money. People who can make fun of you. People who aren't impressed by your watch. People who can tell you when you're wrong. Because when you can buy almost anything, genuine relationships become priceless. And then money starts changing the way you think about ordinary things. You don't necessarily buy a bigger house because you need more rooms. You buy convenience, not because you're incapable of doing things yourself, but because you realize something. Those 2 hours you spent cleaning could have been spent with your children. That hour you spent sitting in traffic could have been spent reading. That entire weekend spent running errands could have been spent somewhere you actually wanted to be. Money becomes a way of buying back time, and time is something you can never earn back. Eventually, the wealthiest people can reach another realization. They don't need more things. They need more meaning. Imagine having enough money to completely change someone's life, paying for someone's education, helping your parents retire, giving a talented person the opportunity they could never afford. At that point, money stops being about what you can own. It becomes about what you can make possible. And perhaps that is the most interesting part of becoming extremely wealthy. You discover that the dream was never really the mansion. It was never the Ferrari. It was never the private jet. Those things were symbols. What you actually wanted was the feeling behind them: freedom, security, choice, comfort, respect, adventure, the ability to wake up and know that your life belongs to you, because you could own 100 cars and still only drive one. You could own 10 mansions and still sleep in one bedroom. You could have a wardrobe worth millions and still wear your favorite old shirt. You could travel around the world and still miss home. Eventually, the numbers stop being exciting and life becomes surprisingly simple. You want good people around you. You want your family healthy. You want somewhere peaceful to come home to. You want something meaningful to work on. You want places that make you feel alive. And most importantly, you want enough time to enjoy all of it. Because when money is no longer a problem, the biggest luxury isn't owning everything. It's knowing that you're no longer trapped by what you can't afford. You can choose where you live, who you spend time with, what you work on, where you go, when you leave, and when you wake up tomorrow morning, you don't ask, how much will this cost? You ask something completely different. Is this how I want to spend my life? And that may be the real definition of being rich, not having everything, but finally having the freedom to decide what is worth everything.